Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome to all my replay viewers and everyone who's coming on now. Welcome, I'm glad you guys are here, and I'm going to flip my camera around now so I can see you guys better. Hello, if this is your first time with me, my name is Keely. I'm the owner of LoveHopeAdventure.com and a blog about the marriage relationship, intimacy in marriage, and how you can have a deeper, closer relationship with your spouse. And today I want to talk directly to women, and not to say that if any men are on here that they can't listen in to this tips and advice as well, because women struggle to orgasm, and I know that is a hard thing for a lot of you guys. And yesterday I was talking on my scope and I made a mention of, sometimes I'll talk about orgasms and stuff, and like a lot of people, I know you guys are watching and a lot of times you're not commenting, and I get that because it's kind of like embarrassing to ask questions in a public forum about this stuff, and I get that. That's why if you have any specific questions that you want to have addressed, you can always chat with me over at lovehopeadventure.com. Go to my contact page and email me, or you can just email directly, keely@lovehopeadventure.com, or you can always look me up on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and you can get all of my social media profiles on my website, lovehopeadventure.com. And I plan to put some resources together about this topic, and eventually I'll write that post on my website, because I'm not an expert here, and I've read a lot of bloggers talk about tips that women can have when they are struggling to orgasm. So I have a few of my own tips that I wanted to share with you all, but it's really hard. It's hard to figure out why you're not orgasming, why you're having a hard time with it. And I'm just going to put this out there. I know that there are a lot of women I've spoken to who say, I have no idea if I've ever orgasmed. I really don't know. And then there's people who will say, well, you'll know if you orgasm. I don't know, guys. I really don't, because they said the same thing to me about being in labor. Everybody was like, you'll know when you're in labor. And I honestly didn't. Someone had to tell me. So if it's feeling really amazing to you, somebody says most of the time our brains get in the way. And that we are going to talk about that. So if sex feels really amazing to you and you're not sure if you're orgasming, but you're satisfied, what else can you ask for, really? I mean, because your sex life, if it's great, if it's good, and what you're doing is feeling great, but you're not sure if you're orgasming, I think that you're in a good place. But if you are getting to that point where you want to orgasm and you're struggling to get over that tipping point and you're like, oh my gosh, what can I do to make this happen? I've got a few tips for you today. The first thing that you've got to do is deal with your personal baggage. A lot of us go into marriage and we've got hang-ups, or we've just got baggage, whether you've dealt with sexual abuse in the past, or whether you have been maybe promiscuous or something, or you're dealing with a lot of shame, a lot of guilt when it comes to sex. That can keep you from orgasming, because you're not going to feel like you're allowed to let yourself go because of some shame that is associated with it, or whatever you're dealing with. So even if you haven't been sexually abused, maybe you just were brought up with a view that sex is dirty, or that it is not something to be talked about, or maybe you're just completely uncomfortable about the subject anyway. Guys, if you feel too embarrassed to talk about sex with your spouse, I don't know how you're going to orgasm. Now, maybe you can orgasm and it's all quiet or whatever, but if you can't talk with your spouse about it, the closest relationship to you, then I think you're going to suffer. So if you're not able to have a conversation about sex with your spouse, then you probably are going to have to deal with some baggage. You've got some things you've got to get over. There's a reason why you're feeling embarrassed about sex, and it's not something to feel embarrassed about. So I hope that you will reconcile those things inside of your mind that is keeping you from experiencing freedom in your sex life. Somebody says, yep, I tell my husband what to do. So they tell their husband what to do to help them orgasm. And that's actually another thing that we got to talk about. All right, so sometimes I think that women maybe, and I'm not going to try and generalize here, okay, but I have talked with a lot of women who feel the same way, is because you feel embarrassed about sex, or maybe you've got some baggage associated with it, you do not want to figure out what feels good. Okay, and for women, this is so hard. Guys are kind of simple. Simple things feel really great for them, but we are like this mystery. We don't even know what feels good for ourselves. So you have to be willing to let your spouse explore with you. Now, there are going to be some times when you're going to have to be there with your spouse and they are doing something that you're like, well, that's not doing nothing for me. It needs to be more like this. And you're going to have to show them. Oh my goodness, I know how hard that can be, because you're like, all eyes are on me. And if you're the kind of person who's like, I don't want anyone to know I exist, or I definitely don't want anyone to know my sexuality exists, you're going to really struggle, believe me. Because you're going to have to admit that you have need for sexual pleasure, and you're going to have to let your spouse go with you and explore your body, and be willing to explore your body in front of your spouse, because if you don't ever explore yourself, how can you know what feels good? Now, guys, I am not at all suggesting to get off by yourself and masturbate, and you are going to read that all over the internet. That's bull. Don't do that. Don't make that what you do. I read some of the craziest junk when women can't orgasm, and it's like just some of the craziest stuff that these people are suggesting, and I think, no. You need to get with your spouse, explore yourself with your spouse. Let your spouse explore you. Guys, work together. Because this is the beauty of sexual intimacy. It's going on this great adventure together. Don't do it on your own. Don't be experiencing that on your own. Do it with your spouse. So, yeah, you're going to have to get really comfortable with your body. And if you are dealing with, like, body image issues, that can easily keep you from orgasming, because you're so self-conscious. You're like, what do I look like right now? And I must look ugly. And all these things start crowding your mind, and there's no way you can orgasm when your mind is crowded with insecurities, crowded with shame, or crowded with just whatever you might be dealing with. So you're going to have to get through some of those issues you're having mentally so that you can figure out what feels good. So I suggest that a woman and her husband, don't touch that fat roll, somebody says. Yeah, it's like, let's have the lights off and I can't see. If you're struggling to orgasm, you need the lights on. Because a lot of women struggle having orgasms when they are having sex, and they need their spouse to directly stimulate them. Now, I'm not saying you can't have orgasms while you're having sex. Lots of women do that, and they do it well. But if you've never had an orgasm, you might need to change some things up. And you're not going to be okay with your spouse touching all over you. You know, if he can't see what in the world's going on, how can either of you guys know what's happening? So lights on definitely is going to be important, so you guys can see what's happening. So you need to try different angles, different positions. You need to be okay with some direct stimulation, whether your spouse uses his mouth or his hands. Now, I'm going to tell you, if you let your spouse use his hands, get some lubrication, because it is not going to feel good to you without it. It's going to be too rough and too hard, and that's not going to feel good. So don't be scared to get some lubrication. Somebody says they love the mood lighting for my bed. Thank you. Yes, and I showed that guy to you guys yesterday. I have lights above my bed and lights over here because I have light issues. I can't stand light not being equally distributed around me. That's so distracting. So yes, when it comes to orgasming too, the other thing you have to do is you got to remove the distractions. So if a light is staring me straight in the face, I'm not going to be able to think. So I definitely think you need to remove the distractions. What is keeping you and holding you back? Are you feeling distracted? Are you struggling to focus on what's happening? And you need to really think in your mind, what feels good right now? And what will feel good next? And if you don't know what will feel good next, then you need to tell your spouse, okay, that is feeling good, that does feel good, but I need something different. And so you need to help guide your spouse in that. Now, some people, and if you are not okay with sex toys, please just tune out for a minute, because there are some people who are okay with it. If you think that a vibrator will help you, because I know a lot of women have had good luck with vibrators, then you can get one, and they don't have to look like a male anatomy. You can get some that just vibrate their little eggs or little rings or something like that. That might help you get to that point. And if you're okay with that, you can go to Walmart and get them. I am an affiliate for Married Dance, and they gave me a coupon code that you can always use over there. If you go over there and buy anything from their website, marrieddance.com, you can use the coupon code LOVE. They'll take 10% off of your order, and that might be a good idea for you. If you have any hangups about it, though, that's not a good idea for you. You need to work through that. If you do not feel like that is something that you're okay with in your marriage bed, do not bring it in, all right? So I'm not going to sit around and discuss theology behind that. I know that some people are okay with it and other people are not. So I'm just going to suggest it for those that would be willing to try it. Something else that you can do to help yourself orgasm is you need to figure out your cycle. There are going to be a couple of days out of the month where you are going to be additionally aroused. There is a specific period of time during your cycle where your body is just more aroused naturally than in general. So pay attention to those days. On those days when you are really feeling in the mood and you've not really done much, or it takes like this little bit of a thought to be like, oh man, I really want to have sex. Those are the days when, if you haven't ever orgasmed or you're struggling to orgasm, those are going to be the days when you're going to be able to reach it much quicker because your body is already there. Your body has just this natural cycle that it goes through to get you more excited and in the mood so that you can procreate, all right? So your body is just more excited. Figure out what those days are and plan for them. Maximize those days. You're going to have to track that for yourself. So you need to just figure out what's my cycle and what day of my cycle am I just naturally most aroused. And you're usually going to get a 2 to 3 day window where you're just feeling very excited to be with your spouse. So definitely maximize on those days. Another thing that you can do to kind of get your body more ready for sex and more ready for orgasm is you can take a couple of days off. So what you do is you just be really active sexually with your spouse, and you guys have sex for several days in a row or really regular, and then give yourself a little bit of a break, and maybe like 3 or 4 days, and your body is going to actually really start craving sex. And the more you have sex, the more you want sex. But if you're trying to get over that peak, you might tell yourself, okay, no sex for just a couple of days. Let me build some anticipation. And in those couple of days, you and your spouse, you guys flirt, you guys get in the mood together or whatever, or you just keep reminding yourself, we are going to have sex on this particular day. And I know that a couple of days off can really make it easier for you to orgasm. So if you're struggling in that, maybe like right after you get off your period, if you guys aren't having sex on your period, the day that you're ready, that might be the time for you to really try, because your body hasn't had sex for a few days. And if you want to orgasm more regularly, then it's really important that you're having sex very regularly, at least every other day, and you're trying to get very close to orgasming every time. The more you orgasm, sometimes the more you can orgasm. And every woman is different, so you're going to just need to play around. Try a lot of different things. So try the sex fast and see if that helps. Try on the days when you're the most naturally excited. Try some of these other things that I'm talking about. Eliminating distractions and getting really comfortable and lots of foreplay and stuff like that. Another thing that you can do, that you really need to do, is you need to make sure you have time. If you struggle to orgasm, it is going to take a lot of time. You know, you might be with your spouse, having him stimulate you and do things with you and get excited with you for like an hour before you can get to that point. Now, when you're orgasming regularly and you know more of what you're doing and you've got this process figured out, you can definitely knock that time down. But when you haven't ever orgasmed or you're really struggling, you're going to need more time. So plan time. Tell your husband, I want to spend 2 or 3 hours with you this coming whatever night, and we are going to have some fun together. Just maybe make it an at-home date night where you guys put your kids to bed, eat some supper, and then make your way into the bedroom. And during your dinner time, you need to be talking about sex. All right? Just talk about sex. Talk about what you want to try. Talk about what you want to do. And I will tell you that will help you get in the mood. As you talk more about sex, it's going to help you feel more ready. And then you guys can go into your bedroom and start experimenting, but you need time. Build up to it. Give yourself a few days notice, and then just that helps your mind get more ready. Another thing you can do to help you with orgasming is to initiate. It's really important that you're in the mood when you guys get started. And if you're not there mentally, you need to help yourself get there mentally. And when you are in charge of initiating, it will help you to get your mind there faster. Because first of all, you're thinking about it, and then you're probably going to do some things to help yourself prepare. So maybe you're going to put on something sexy, or maybe you're going to do some pre-sex cleanup. Maybe you're going to want to take a shower, or maybe you're going to want to light candles. And I have talked about with you guys in the past some ways that you can help yourself get in the mood. And I've talked about aromatherapies can help you get in the mood. Certain fragrances that you spray on yourself every time you have sex will help your mind get in the mood. Putting on certain music, setting the environment can help you get in the mood. So if you're struggling to orgasm, you need to do things on your own to help yourself get in the mood. Now, what am I saying? I am not saying go watch porn. I am not saying go masturbate, okay? That is what the world is going to tell you. I read this all the time on blogs, and I'm like, why is everybody's go-to when you want to be more sexually engaged with your spouse to go get off by yourself and watch porn? I just don't get it. No. By getting in the mood, what I'm really talking about is you need to get your thoughts there. Get your mind in the mood. How do you get your mind in the mood? Okay, well, you can think about times that you guys have had sex in the past. Really think about something. I've talked about before, getting in front of a mirror and seeing yourselves in the mirror will help you to have those sexual visions and those sexual memories so that you can recall them later on. So when you're struggling to orgasm, you've got something to think about. If while you're trying to have sex with your spouse and trying to orgasm, and you start thinking about all of these visual things that you and your spouse have done together, that helps you. Somebody says they've always hated porn. So glad it's a no-no as a Christian. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Some Christians actually think that there is Christian porn that you should watch. That's totally misguided, all right? Totally misguided. But if you are struggling to get in the mood, just really think about times you and your spouse have had together. I mean, if you're struggling to develop sexual memories, so by that I mean you can't think very clearly of some sex acts that you guys are doing. Oh, she says she met somebody in Vegas selling that. Well, look, they sell it online too, and they call Christian porn where the actors are doing it willingly and their husbands and wives doing it for educational purposes. I'm sorry, you don't need to watch that for educational purposes. Again, I am telling you guys, the best part of sexual intimacy with your spouse is exploring one another together. You don't have to do it like they're doing it or this person over there. And listen, today, I'm not telling you you need to do A, B, C, D so you can orgasm. I am telling you, if you're struggling to orgasm, these are some things you might consider trying. So it may not work for you. It might not work for your marriage. I don't know you, and I don't know what's going to work for you because we're all so different. But the best part is you can explore this with your spouse. You don't know how to orgasm? Okay, together, this is y'all's problem. Work through it. All right? And that kind of brings me to one of my last things, is you got to talk to your spouse about this. You have to. And I know these conversations are hard to have. It's really hard for you to admit to your spouse, I need sex. I need you to help bring me to orgasm. That is very hard to say if you're not accustomed to saying it. But I've said this before and I'll say it again. You need to get comfortable talking about sex because you've got to be the one to tell your kids about it. You just have to, because everybody is going to tell your kids about sex. Nobody else is being shy about it. You shouldn't be either. And it starts by talking to your spouse. You gotta talk to your husband about sex so that you can have these ongoing conversations with your kids about it. And be open and honest, because I'm going to tell you, they're getting that education whether you want them to or not. So you need to talk with your spouse and tell your spouse, I really want to orgasm. I really want to figure this out. Will you help me? And believe me, your spouse is going to be over the top excited. At least I hope so. I'm not going to generalize, because there's always that poor woman that will write into me and say, my husband has no desire to have sex with me. And guys, if that is you today, I am so sorry for you, because that's just disobedience. It is disobedience to God to not have sex with your spouse. And you shouldn't stay there, and you have to address those issues in your marriage. And I'm sorry if you're in that place, because that is really rotten. That is a very rotten place to be in. But you need to have those conversations with them and tell your spouse, I want to reach orgasm. Can you help me? What can we do? Will you work with me? Will you be patient with me? And yeah, it's going to take time, and you're going to have to be very vulnerable. And that is so hard to do. It is hard to be vulnerable, but when you want to orgasm, you've got to be. You have to just be willing to surrender yourself, your emotions, and your control for just a little bit. And it's actually really great for you. It's great for you as a person, and great for you in your marriage to do that. So I encourage you guys, if you want more tips and things, I will be writing a post about it at some point, and I can't promise when. Somebody says they're going to catch my replay. And guys, I have to tell you that Catch is going away. And if you guys didn't know this, I'm on catch.me/lovehopeadvent. Somebody just asked, do you feel a need to orgasm every time? Yes, I do. Did not used to feel that need, but I do now. I really feel that need now. I want to do that. I feel like that is what I need in my marriage, and that's what we work towards. So that might not be you, and there are a lot of women out there. JD from sexwithinmarriage.com kind of said that about 33% of the women that he has polled say that it I'll address those in a minute. He says 33% of women go into sexual encounter, and they only 33% of them expect to orgasm. Whereas men, like 100% of men, expect to orgasm during sex. So I think a lot of women don't expect it. Now, why don't they expect it? Is it possible to learn to have one vaginally if you haven't? Yes, it is possible, and it's going to take a lot of working, all right? It's going to be a lot of adventure with you and your husband. Some women feel they can orgasm better on top. Some women feel that they can orgasm better on bottom. Some feel that they can orgasm best with their husbands on the going behind. You got to figure out which one works for you. Angles is literally everything. Angles and pressure and speed, and it's going to require a whole lot of talking and working with your spouse, because they're going to have to do certain things and you're going to have to do certain things. It takes a lot. So yeah, you can learn to do all of that. And somebody says they think a lot of it's mental. I think some of it is mental, and I think some of it is just physical, because I know that there are some women who, for whatever reason, just physically struggle with it. I don't know why. And I'm sure that hormones can play into that, and a lot of other things. So yeah, if you're struggling with orgasm because of mental things, I just really encourage you to work through those problems. Figure out what it is. Because guys, if it's shame, if it's past sexual abuse, if it's something like that, man, you just owe it to yourself to work through that stuff anyways. Not just for the sake of orgasm, but for the sake of your own personal freedom in Christ. We've got to work through these issues that we have, and we've all got them. I've got them. A lot of people have got them. And somebody says their sex was much better for them after hysterectomy. Well, that's awesome. That is so awesome. I'm glad for you for that. Man, sometimes it can, in your life, whether it's your life cycle or when you're having kids or not having kids, it can be different, okay? Your sex drive is going to change as your kids grow older or whatever. So much stuff is going to change. So it could be surgeries, it could be kids are getting older, and sometimes women are struggle to orgasm because they're just plain too tired. So if you're often very tired and you're struggling to orgasm, it is possible you're just tired. Because let me tell you something about orgasming. It's not easy and it takes energy. It just does. So you guys are going to have to get the rest you need. You're going to have to get the sleep that you need and make time for this. This is a priority. Your sexual satisfaction, your husband's sexual satisfaction, that's priority. Now, I know a lot of husbands out there get very upset or sad if their spouse can't orgasm. That should not make you feel pressured to orgasm, because what happens is if you feel the pressure to orgasm, you're absolutely never going to. The minute you start overthinking it, you're just done. It's not going to happen. The minute you start feeling stressed out about it, it's not going to happen. So do whatever you can to eliminate that stress. And definitely use some of the tips that I've given you. And I've followed a few other bloggers that probably have some different tips than I have. But you need to figure out what works best for you. And if you're struggling to have an orgasm while having sex, then you need to start with direct stimulation. Whether it's with your spouse's mouth or his fingers, or like we discussed earlier with a toy, like a vibrator that he can put on you and move around. Start there. Because a lot of people struggle to have orgasm through sex alone. So at least figure out the process, because there is a process for everybody and it's always different. But there's a few key elements here. First of all, right mindset. Gotta focus. Gotta be focused on what you're doing. You can't be thinking about your grocery shopping list, okay? You gotta be thinking to yourself, this feels good, what would feel good next, and what do I need my spouse to do? The second thing, another component, is you've got to be moving in the right way with your spouse. So, yes, somebody's laughing about the grocery store list. Guys, I have thought about all sorts of stuff while I'm having sex, and I just think to myself, nope, think about what I'm doing. And again, I just draw on sexual memories. I just think about what it is looking like, what is happening, what is feeling like. So if I let my mind wander, I'm like, duh, we're having sex, let's think about this. And a lot of women struggle with that, so don't think you're the only one. So the second component that you got to have is the right amount of stimulation at the right time. So you need direct stimulation, you need it at the right pace, at the right pressure, at the right time. It's complicated, but you do need those things. And then you need to know what to do. Your own self. So you need your spouse to know what to do, you need to know what to do, and you guys have to kind of work this thing together. So one of the good things is that if you're really working towards this, hopefully your communication with your spouse will really reach a new level, because this is a problem that you guys can work through. And if you have any other questions for me about this, definitely send me a message. I don't necessarily suggest you tweet at me, because you might not want to be like, hey, so Keely, about that orgasm scope right there on Twitter. But you can always direct message me over there, or direct message me on Instagram, Facebook, or through my email. So, let's see. You mean move your body while they work on you? Yes, that's what I mean. You have to flex certain muscles in order for it to be right. You have to angle your body the right way so that you get the stimulation that you need. And a lot of people will say, like, maybe pointing your toes can help you reach orgasm. I know that sounds silly, guys, but it must do a certain muscle group. So pointing your toes and arching your back will actually help you get into the right position. I don't know why, honestly, though, whether you're on top or on bottom or whatever, just try that, right? If you're like, all else fails, rock your hips up and sort of arch your back and point your toes, and that can help you. I think that it must like tense up certain muscles. Somebody says that they like to take the pillow out from under your head. Yes, I suggest that too. If you're going to put a pillow under you, it needs to be under your butt or like right the lower part of your back. It does not need to be under your head because you cannot do what you need to. And guys, we see a lot of pictures of this, right? Don't you see like every woman in a picture is doing this thing? And you're like, what is she doing? Well, that's what your head kind of has to do to orgasm. So, and somebody says, what are those exercises called? Are you talking about Kegel exercises where you squeeze like you're trying to stop peeing or something like that? You can do those. I've never really been very disciplined about that stuff, so I don't know if it helps, but you might find that it helps. So look it up. Kegel, Kegel, and maybe that will help you. I don't know. It could be a weak pelvic floor or something that's causing you to struggle, but maybe not. I don't know. So, somebody says they've done it during sex to reach orgasm. Well, you know what? I'm sure that does help because it is flexing a certain group of muscles. And so somebody had asked earlier, okay, so your spouse has to be moving in the right rhythm for you at the right pressure at the right time, and then you have to be clenching the right group of muscles. And you'll clench them when you are trying to point your toes and arch your back and that kind of thing. And maybe even clenching your butt muscles. I'm not sure. I would have to really sit back and think it through. Like I said, guys, I'm not like a super expert on this, but I did want to talk about it because someone had said, wait, you have scopes on orgasms? And so catch is going away. So my replays are going to have to be on YouTube. I haven't quite figured out how that's going to work. Or I might possibly put the replays, just video them on my website. So Catch is going to stop backing these up starting tomorrow, I guess, because today's Thursday, right? So tomorrow, they're not backing up after day. If they even back this one up, I'll be excited. So I'm in the process of taking my entire Catch library and moving it over to my Facebook page. And not my Facebook, my YouTube. And my YouTube channel is actually, I'm pretty sure it's on my website, and I have to look it up because it could be keeliereason, might be my YouTube channel. So if all else fails, look for keeliereason. But I don't think any of the videos are over there yet, so I'm just going to keep you guys updated about this because the thing about Periscope is in 24 hours, this scope. So I will eventually figure out a way to get these videos and categorize them and catalog them and put them somewhere so you guys can access them. And yeah, that's just kind of an update on that. And so all of the scopers that you follow, all their Catch accounts are going away also because Catch is going bye-bye. May 3rd, they're over. If you've got any catches from old bloggers that you were really interested in watching, you need to go ahead and do it because the site is coming down. May the 3rd, I think, is their wrap-up day. So, yeah, it's pretty sad, and I work with several bloggers that use Catch, so we're just kind of all working through this together and trying to come up with our game plans. So, we're definitely going to have to figure this out. And I have right now, my Catch is supposed to be backing up to YouTube. I am hoping it will do it, and then I will start giving you guys my YouTube channel so y'all can check out past YouTube videos that I've done, and I've done YouTube videos in the past too, so I've already kind of got a library of stuff over there, but it was mostly DIY stuff. Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'm sorry I was late today. Hopefully I'll be on tomorrow around the same time. I mean, in the morning between 11 and 12. And somebody just asked, why isn't Catch starting to charge a small fee? Well, if you will go to catch.me, I don't know what the blog post was that they wrote, but they actually explained why they can't start charging a small fee. And it's something to do with the investors. So I think everyone would be willing to pay for it, but it's something to do with the fact that they were investor backed and it wouldn't be okay for them to charge fees. I don't really know, but they did explain it, and they've literally addressed every single question, so you can always check that out on their blog because they have written a very heartfelt post about it, and I feel bad for them because I didn't know Catch was put together by just 5 people. Like 5 people ran that massive, massive undertaking. So I'm sorry to see them go, but You know, that's what happens on the internet. So, guys, I'll catch you guys tomorrow between 11 and 12 unless something crazy happens like today. And y'all have a great day.